Men of the 90s. Will the men of the 90s be strong, masculine Clint Eastwoods, or will they be sniveling, wimpy, poofy Alan Alda types? We'll be talking about men of the 90s tonight on Call Us Now. Hi, my name's Bill. I'm hosting Call Us Now tonight, and like I said, tonight's topic is men of the 90s. And in just a couple of minutes, we'll be taking phone calls at our Call Us Now number 522-3564 is that number. Let me now introduce our panel of experts for tonight's topic, men of the 90s. First of all, to my left is Al J. Washendry, who is a commodities broker. It's a pleasure to have him here with us tonight. Next to Al is Wilfred Crenshaw, who many of you know has his own show right here on Public Access, Channel 29. It's a show called My House. And down at the end is Roy Nelson, who is a truck driver. It's a pleasure to have all of you on tonight to discuss men of the 90s. And I think I'd just like to kind of just start the whole questioning off tonight, just to kind of get your opinion of what the men of the 90s are going to be like, just kind of a preview. Take your time.
Well, I think I can speak up and answer that. One of the things that men in the 90s are going to have to be is survivors. They're going to have to know how to survive because, Bill, I've got a little news for you. Even if you win the mayoral candidacy, you are not going to be able to stem the tide that's about to happen, which is going to be the entire economy is going to hell. So the only men that are going to be able to survive are men that are survivors, and men that are survivors are men that know how to fix things and make whirligigs.
Whirligigs.
Right.
I associate that with manhood a lot, whirligigs and things. You guys,
I think that's a goddamn wussy thing to make.
Yeah, you wait till you're starving hungry about 1992. You'll wish you had a whirligig then.
Now, Roy, you think, do you think kind of the manly men, kind of the Ralph Crampton types are going to kind of replace these wimpy type of men, that kind of the sensitive men that kind of became popular?
I think that that sensitive men bullshit is just a bunch of bullshit. I mean, a real man has a real job like I do, and I support myself and my family, and that's the way things are. I think that I'm the epitome of a man in the 90s.
And Al, I guess you're very representative of what we might call the men of the 80s, kind of the, if I may say so, kind of the yuppie type.
Well, you know, Bill, some may see the term yuppie as a pejorative term, but I don't see it as that at all. It's been great for men in the 80s to have the opportunity to spend quality time with their family, with the little critter, if you know what I mean. And
that's a woman's job.
Well, it's with women having taken over so much of the financial burden from the man, it leaves so much more time for nurturing on the part of men, and it will make for better and healthier children in the future. Bill, do you mind if I get some of this down on tape?
No, that's fine. You can.
Thank you so much. I wouldn't want my children to miss this experience.
Yeah, right here. Do we get, in the booth, do we get paid for this? Do we have rights to this stuff that he shoots? I don't know, we'll look into that. Why don't we take a call here and see if we hi, you're on.
Mr. Nelson, I really admire your attitude, and I think you indeed are a man of the 90s, and I wish you'd just stand up, take off your sunglasses, take off your hat, and shout it to the world, just for everybody to hear. Bill for mayor.
So exciting.
Well,
I wouldn't mind that at all.
See how inspiring I am to people? You see, Bill, if I was to run for mayor, then you would have yourself a race. I bet.
Obviously, maybe I should talk with you after the show. Maybe you could help out.
Maybe I can give you a few pointers.
Yeah.
How to sway public opinion and stuff like that.
By the way, Bill, might I say I have left this number with my service. I just thought I'd tell you that in case the phone rings and it's for me.
What's a goddamn service?
It Well, you wouldn't know, would you?
Now, let me ask you guys, and I'm just kind of curious from all of you. Like right now, what's a typical day like for you? I mean, what is a typical day for you, the men who are now going into the 90s? We're going into the 90s here. What is a typical day? What is a typical man like? What do you do during the day?
Well, I like to think that I'm above the typical man. I'm a man who's preparing for the 90s, and I do that by every morning I get up at 6 a.m. and have a couple of cups of Java, and then I get down into the basement where I have my little workshop, and I have all these little pieces of plywood that I cut up into, duck's wings and duck's feet and little boats and airplanes and anything that looks good on a whirligig. And I might make up, one day, let's say on Monday, I make up 200 left duck wings, and on Tuesday I make up 200 right duck wings, and then by the end of the week I have enough to make 200 whirligig ducks, and I put them all together and I pack them away in my storage bin, because when the 90s come around, those are going to be a hot item and I'm going to be a survivor.
That's the most goddamn sorry life story I've ever heard.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. When you're out there and there's nothing to truck, there's nothing to put in the trucks, there's no gasoline for the trucks, there's no commodities for the trucks, there'll still be whirligigs, and everybody will want a whirligig in their yard to just cheer them up.
Bill, it's a frightening thought, isn't it, that apparently 2/3 of the men of the 90s will be somewhat emotionally disturbed. Apparently. I must get this on tape.
Let's take another phone call here. Hello.
Hello?
Do you have a question for us?
Yes, I'd like to know just exactly what the hell is a goddamn whirly jig. I've got one floating in my toilet right now, and I'm just about had it. I need this whirligig out of this toilet now. Can someone please help get this out of my goddamn toilet?
Well, to begin with, you called it a whirly jig, then you called it a whirly gig, then you once again called it a whirly jig. There's two different things there. Yes, whirly jigs are often found in toilets. Whirly gigs are found outdoors flipping in the wind. Whatever you have in your toilet, lady, I can't help you with. I'm sorry.
But now, Wilford, do you have any, you work with your hands.
That's right.
And do you do any plumbing? I mean, you do things, make things out of wood and things like that?
Of course I do plumbing. Look here, I have a little plumbing hacksaw right here. If you need any plumbing fixed, this'll do it. There.
Yeah,
And you can cut copper pipe with this. See this part right here? That's for your hand. Your hand goes through there and it goes. Let me give a demonstration here. Let's say this is a piece of copper. Well, anyway, it cuts copper pipe. So yes, I do a lot of plumbing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm seeing kind of a common thread here, that maybe the men of the 90s are going to be doing a lot of working with their hands.
Right.
Now, Roy, do you, in truck driving, I guess you do a lot of loading and unloading and that
Well,
kind
I
of stuff?
haul cattle and I haul hay, depending on the season. And the hay, you gotta flip up onto the truck by yourself. You got these claws that you put on either side of the bale and flip it up that way. And then sometimes I haul cattle, and the cattle you just kind of gotta get them in there like that.
You don't have to use those hooks, huh?
No, not with the cattle.
And Al, hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi. And
There you are.
thank you. As a commodities broker, do you find do you do much manual labor? Or is it?
Well, not really much manual labor, but I do belong to a health club, and I work out 4 or 5 times a week. Men's sauna, incorporate sauna, Bill. A sound mind in a sound body. They go together.
What a waste of money.
Keeps you in shape. I'm healthier than I've ever been.
You know what keeps you in shape is standing in front of a table saw for 10 hours a day, cutting those pieces for whirligigs, or fixing things around the house. Any of that'll make you feel like a man and build those muscles up.
So, men who build their muscles up and sweat a lot. That's kind of sound like the men of the 90s. I'm hearing a little bit of that. Let's take another call. Hi.
Hey, Bill, it's me, Mabel.
Hi, Mabel.
The damn chickens are out. Bill, I think Roy Nelson down there on the end should take her hat and jacket off and show us your chest muscles. And show us what a man of the 90s looks like.
I told you, Bill, I'd be turning on some ladies out there. Sorry, guys.
I guess we were forewarned there, and sure enough.
My wife, she won't let me go nowhere because she knows.
I think, I
It's
mean,
animal magnetism.
Certain animal magnetism, I think. Yeah.
It's the residue from hauling cows, I think.
Could be. It's hard work, Bill. That's what it is. It's goddamn hard work.
you probably get, you know, a lot of attention from ladies. You really have nice skin, by the way. I bet.
Thank you. I just shaved.
It's very nice. And I guess we kind of segued to women a little bit here. We were talking about women. I'm kind of curious what, to a man of the 90s, what is that ideal woman of the 90s like? What is the ideal woman?
Well, first off, she's got to have childbearing hips, because that's important. To have babies, you want childbearing hips. And she's got to be able to cook. And she's got to be able to clean. I mean, I'm not a particularly clean person, but I don't, you know, like a real messy person. So, and she's got to have to be able to conversation, you know, be conversationalist.
Mm-hmm. Now, Wilfred, your wife also has a show called My Garden.
Yeah, that dumb bitch has got her own show. It stinks. It's terrible. It's a terrible show.
How would you describe your wife? Has she gone through some changes lately? Is she the ideal woman for you?
Well, I've got to say the little woman is improving a little bit. The other day she learned how to put a 9-inch blade on my Black & Decker table saw, and she can just do that. You can switch those things around in about 3 seconds. You know, when you're making all those whirligigs, you wear those blades out. So she is improving. She's got that down. She lost a few fingers in the process. We're kind of sorry about that, but you know. And then she has her silly little flowers and her silly little public access show that she has, where she breaks up cows' knees and makes some kind of gook and puts them on flowers, and then they harden permanently, and she seems to think that's more important than fixing things and making whirligigs.
Now, Al, what about you're married? You mentioned that you're married and have and you have children also. You said.
Well, I have.
Probably goddamn 2.3.
Well, you're close. I have 2 children. We have a boy and a girl. Thought that was enough. Don't want to cut into the time you can spend. People have sometimes too big. I think families get too big, and the parents can't spend enough nurturing time with them.
I'm kind of curious about the woman that you're married, kind of the woman that you're with, that you consider apparently ideal, that you married.
Well, she looks like goddamn Mary Tyler goddamn Moore.
Well, she drives a truck.
Hey,
She's a truck driver.
It's a compliment. We compliment just sort of yin and yang fitting together. It's very zen sort of relationship, Bill, and we compliment each other.
A truck driver?
Oh, certainly.
All right, why do you think that women should be driving trucks? Is that?
No. Have you seen how women drive?
My wife is
their
a
little
very
cars?
good driver.
Can you imagine one behind a wheel of an 18-wheeler?
Oh, I have a photograph of her behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler. Did you know that Mercedes made trucks? I bet you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
It's a lovely, beautiful truck.
can she parallel park?
You bet she can.
Well, it's more than my wife can do.
She will be a woman of the 90s.
So is the consensus here that the woman of the 90s will also get more masculine? Is that okay? Roy doesn't seem to
I
like
don't
that
think
idea a
so.
lot.
I don't think that's a woman's place. I think a woman's place should be making babies and dinner, of course.
Well, you know, Bill, more masculine, you're asking for a definition of women getting more masculine, and there are masculine and feminine components in both men and women, as you well know. I've heard you speak of on this subject right here on the show.
What kind of goddamn malarkey is that?
I'm gonna have to agree with that. What the goddamn are you talking about?
It's a well-known psychological fact that the most masculine of men has a feminine composite to their personality.
No, you are
And the most
thinking about
feminine
those
woman has a
goddamn
masculine composite as well.
homosexuals. That's what you are thinking about. Those are the people with their men and their women inside them, and they got that all messed up. That's what that is.
Oh, I think you probably have a woman inside of you, feminine side. Let's say, I wouldn't say a woman, let's say a feminine side.
I doubt
to your
that.
personality. Oh, I'm
doubt
sure
that.
a psychiatrist would bet
My
you different.
mother raised me perfectly, okay? I'm a man through and through, and don't you ever forget it, son. I'll take you outside quicker than you can spit a hollow log.
I got to get this on tape.
Boy, spitting hollow logs, that must be a manly thing.
So you probably do a little bit of that yourself, doing whirligigs.
Yeah.
Let's take another phone call. Hello.
Hello. I would just like to say that I think Roy is definitely a man of the 90s, and I am definitely a woman of the 90s with large breasts and large hips to bear children. And Roy, I'll have your babies any day. You turn me on, my whirligigs going crazy, and I can barely stand it anymore. You make me hot, Roy.
The whirlijig is in the toilet.
That's
Something in the toilet is.
I think the pronunciation was a giveaway to our caller there.
Now,
Heard from her before. Phew.
let me ask you gentlemen this question, and that's, who are your role models? Who do you look up to? Who do you maybe pattern your life after?
Well, I have a little confession to make here. I've never made this confession before, but, well, my house is patterned a little bit after this old house. And, you know, the fella on that show, Bob, he's kind of a man. The guy can do anything. Well, he can't do a damn thing, but he can really give orders. He can walk around and you know, point at people that are laying linoleum and point at people that are laying lattice and people that are doing all this stuff and say, here's a man putting in a counter. And that's the kind of guy I like, somebody that can really sort of take charge and get people to do
I
things.
believe he's no longer on that show.
Well, I understand he has a drinking problem and a fighting with the police problem, but, well, what guy doesn't?
Bill,
Don't.
Elvis
Elvis.
has to be king of rock and roll. Women idolized him. Elvis.
And boy, he could sing too, huh?
He sure could.
And Bill, I'm going to have to say George Bush. Look at the man. 60s, in his 60s, Ivy League graduate, perfect physical condition, obviously a mind in perfect condition as well. Married to a truck driver, it's very much like my own situation. So I have to admire George Bush.
But can he make a whirligig? I guess that's
you know.
kind of
I bet he can.
We'll
No,
see what he
sir.
makes out of this country after he's done.
Probably end up being one of those whirly jigs in the toilet by the time he's done.
that'd be something. I can imagine the White House lawn, just with all those little whirligigs like.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful sight. It's a great idea. In fact, if you become mayor, maybe you can plant a little seed in his ear.
I'd be more than happy to do that. Let's take another phone call. Hi, thank you for calling. Call us now.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I don't believe that person at the end is really a truck driver. I don't think so.
Being challenged, Roy.
I don't know what I have to do.
I already hung up on the caller. I guess maybe.
Maybe you could shift gears for her.
Okay. Well, you see, in an 18-wheeler, you got two different gear shifts. Very simple. You got to pop the top one in and pop the bottom one down if you're going to go higher than 10. And you only got one clutch, all right? And it's just the same in your stupid little Japanese goddamn car on the left, and your wheel's about this big around, and then you push the clutch down, and you got to release the air pressure to pop the second gear up if you want to go past 10 gears, and you want to go past 10 gears if you're hauling something really heavy. I mean, I don't know what else I got to do to prove my goddamn self on this goddamn flaky public access show.
That's
Let
great.
me, okay, Roy. Let's say you're driving down to Yuma, and
been
you
to
stop.
Yuma.
You stop at a truck stop to get a little something to eat. What do you order? What do you eat?
Fried eggs and bacon.
It's a truck driver. That pretty much proves it. Now, I've got another question. We're kind of talking about men of the 90s. How have you, as you've reached the 90s, how have you metamorphosized? How have you changed through the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s? Have you gone through changes? Have you kind of gradually changed to become this man of the 90s? I'm just kind of curious if maybe you've gone through phases, maybe a little bit about your past.
Well, back in the 70s, I was an insurance salesman, and I didn't do too well at it. And then first part of the 80s, well, I sold real estate, and I didn't do real well at that either. And then, well, about 1985, I started making whirligigs, and I found something that I could do, and I could do well. So I'm a happy man now, much happier than when I was selling that other stuff.
Probably the only goddamn thing you could do.
Well, a man's got to do something right, and I make
Man's
whirligigs
gotta
right.
do what he's gotta do.
Yeah, make whirligigs.
All right. I mean, have you always been a truck driver? Have you always wanted to be a truck driver? Have you ever had any other vocation?
Well, my daddy was a truck driver, and I just, you know, wanted to be a truck driver like my daddy because I looked up to him. My kids look up to me. I think they're going to be truck drivers too. The trucking industry is a big industry. It's booming.
And you're in the Teamsters?
That's right.
Okay.
My daddy sold Watkins products door to door. So I didn't want to do that. Went insurance instead.
And actually, that is a good point. And I'm going to probably ask Al the same thing, kind of what you did and what your dad did too, because you know we are influenced by what our fathers do, I guess, to a certain extent. And I guess that is important to know.
Well, I went into an area completely different to Bill from what my father went into. My father sold bond futures, and I went into commodities, and my family was totally shocked and surprised when I did that. It was kind of a departure from the family tradition, really.
We're kind of being a rebel.
That's right. That's right. No one had ever been in commodities in my family before.
So you were, I mean, the family is probably pretty
Oh, the
upset
black
about
sheep,
this.
Bill, absolutely. The black sheep, if there could be such a thing in my family.
I bet your family was just glad you married a woman.
I don't like the sound of that.
All right, buddy. Come on. Come on.
Here, I'll take this.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Hey,
Kids will want to see this.
Come on.
Yeah, Bill, would you get a shot of this, please?
Come on.
Kids will love this stuff.
I've had enough. You have a bad attitude. I don't like your attitude.
Getting that on there, Bill?
Yeah, let's see, we got some good stuff here.
Don't fight like a woman.
Come on. Come on.